Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we are back with another episode of Watchmen, episode 2. Last time on the Watchmen, a beautifully done, cool open of the Tulsa massacre, which was very tragic to watch, and but at the same time lends itself to a lot of historical events, you know, which people would rather be forgotten. And while it's important to not kind of focus too much on the past more so than on the present, but the past defines our future, and it's important never to forget, right? So that we don't repeat the same mistakes that we did in the past, right? I mean, a lot of persons, including myself, wasn't I've heard of it, but I wasn't too familiar with the actual events, and certainly not how atrocious it actually was, and this kind of painted a realistic picture. It's a comic book adaptation, so it's glamorized to some extent, but it's really good. It's really cruel and yeah. But as I said, it's important to never forget, right? It's always important never to forget, and it's one of the reasons why film and television play such an important role throughout history. As much as people there's always an argument to be made about where film is now versus where it was in the past, and there's a lot of conversation now about blockbuster films and how small films and stories, small stories, whether on the big or small screen, aren't being told or can't get funding because um, blockbusters are all the rage now, which have little substance and contribute very little to the actual conversation. And I'm sure a lot of people are turned off by the Watchmen and the subject matter that it is touching on, but you know it, it's best not to be ignorant. I'm not saying to take this story as it is. Do your own research, check details, um, ensure that you are informed. Right, don't just rely on the series alone to guide you. But it's important that these stories are made, that these stories are told. I'm glad that HBO is doing this, especially coming off of Chernobyl, right? So they're on a roll, and I'm loving the directing so far, loving the story so far, and using the Watchmen as a way to tell that story. It's phenomenal. So um, last episode we caught up with. Or for me, for the most part, it's a catch up for me because I only recently watched The Watchmen, and trying to put pieces together. And I know it's not completely based on Zack Snyder's adaptation. It's following the comics, but the movie adaptation for the most part followed the comics beat for beat until, for the most part, the end, right? So since the movie is my first exposure to the Watchmen, and well, we'll reference it every now and then. But we met Adrian, who was in some weird, I don't know what to say. I had a butler and a maid that were very unusual. I'm not sure how Adrian's abilities work in the movie. He conjured this creature. I think he conjured it. I don't recall seeing him conjuring it, but I think I remember reading somewhere that he created it. So I don't know if you did something similar with these, and maybe they're machines or some holograms or something like that. I don't know. Um, but I mean, even in the Watchmen world, not everyone had abilities. Doctor Manhattan obviously being one, but I mean, Adrian was definitely not normal, right? He's definitely was superhuman to some extent. Uh, but I'm not sure what the full list of his abilities are. But it was definitely a weird moment with the maid and the butler. They're clearly not, either they're under control or he made them somehow. Of course, we followed the main character Angela, who a retired, somewhat retired, semi-retired police officer. Of course, in the world of the Watchmen now, policemen are required to wear masks to kind of protect their identity from criminals taking revenge on them or their families. And it makes sense. It does make sense. Um, of course, in addition to that, however, they need authorization to actually use weapons, which on the face of it, you can agree that it's a good idea until you, as they depicted in the very first episode, until you come across a situation where you don't have time to wait on command. uh, to allow you to use the weapon. I think it's a good direction, and I mentioned something like Psychopaths before. I think in the last, for those who are familiar with the anime or the manga, it works in certain scenarios, but it's best in a world where there aren't that many guns on the street. So you kind of need to solve that problem first before considering that, and that's a big problem that needs to be solved. So I mean, so it would work for the officer that was in the very first in the first episode. There, it would have worked for him if okay, this guy didn't have whatever gun he tore him up with. Um, and of course, again, the conversation as to whether the officer was right or not, because he was in the end just carrying cabbages, or at least it would appear that way. But at the same time, he is a part of the group, and it's not a great person. Um, so yeah, a lot of gray in the areas a lot of gray areas in this world that they're kind of preparing us for. Angela managed to secure one of the targets before she was even given the order. Um, and they found their hideout, and unfortunately, um, while they came out victorious in that moment, the chief died at the end, or at the very least, they know who Angela is, right? And they said they know who she is. They called her home, so they know where she lives. And the chief, with the chief dying, everything's just gonna get dialed up to 11 now. So, word for her, word for her family, and I mean in this in this crazy world, I know I'm gonna be in for a ride. So episode 2, let's check it out.
Where is Fräulein Müller?
Das bin ich, Herr Kommandant.
German.
Sie sprechen fließend Englisch, richtig?
All right, see you later.
Some white folks in the line English-American papers told you that the Germans ought to be wiped out for the sake of humanity and democracy.
This is the guy from the first episode, right? The father of the kid that survived.
And how about the law? Is lynching and the most horrible cruelties connected therewith a lawful proceeding in a democratic country?
To carry the gun in service of America is not an honor, but a shame.
Makes a valid point.
Come over to the German line.
What's his story in all of this?
Who will help you along?
So the old man is the kid from the Tulsa massacre survivor. I can't imagine he'd be working with the 7th Cavalry.
You got any sugar?
No.
You have a lot of questions to answer.
I'm the one who strung your chief of police up.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
You're 90 fucking years old. How the fuck did you...
Well, you can't.
I'm Dr. Manhattan.
He lives on fucking Mars. And
Good.
you can't
Look
do
like
that.
someone
Look
else.
like us.
Can I have my pills, please?
No.
Why don't you use your powers and float them on over?
Okay, fine. I'm not Dr. Manhattan.
Obviously.
No shit. Who are you?
I'm the one who strung up your chief of police.
Why?
He had skeletons in his closet.
What the fuck does that mean?
If I told you about it, your head would explode, so I have to give it to you in pieces.
You haven't given me shit.
Yes, I have. But you haven't been listening hard enough.
I see you, Will. What to do with him? Guess you got his prince. They said the chief has skeletons in his closet. he obviously wasn't, the chief wasn't as old as he is. He said he's 105, so he couldn't have been in Tulsa, I don't think. Alright, so for a while I actually thought I thought she was like more of a covert part of the team. So she didn't go out in public, but she's out in front of reporters and...
Did he suffer?
Yep. His car's up the road here.
Is this guy the new
Tire
Rorschach?
blown out with the spike strip.
I know he's not Rorschach, but
Intermuscular hemorrhage.
his description of everything and how he
skeleton,
delivers
and ligature
just
marks are all consistent with violent asphyxiation.
very much like
I
Rorschach.
called Jane to notify. She said that they were over at y'all's house for supper.
Yeah.
Was he acting strange?
What do you mean?
He trying to
You know,
do his
strange.
thing and
Was he drunk?
test her.
Couple glasses of wine, maybe. My kids were there.
Your kids.
Fuck you, you shiny fuck. What are you interrogating me now?
It seems that way. He has to suspect everybody, I suppose. Fly over.
I'm not a Nazi. I'm a communist.
There's a difference.
Scare. Stand down.
It's a good question. You need a new chief.
Calvin.
Okay, I'm looking at the clock. And it's 2 minutes till midnight. At midnight is Christmas.
Midnight,
Oh damn. The hell? This is a flashback, right? Before when she was attacked? Watch out for more of them. God damn it. Where's her husband? And how the hell did she survive that? Who saved them? Captain got hit too.
Coordinated attack. The entire force knows that the cavalry has our names and addresses.
You guys have to be.
I'm not fucking quitting.
Well,
Why are they targeting police though?
quit either.
I mean, white cops. They're racist. Why are they targeting just cops? Didn't cry for him either, but definitely wants to get whoever did it. I need to get someone in charge though, because otherwise it's just gonna, they may end up killing somebody innocent. Alright, guess that's one.
Come on, man. We don't need to do this.
It's just chaos, man.
Look out!
Just letting some of the anger out. Got a sorry now you want a handout? Seriously?
May I have your
Okay
consent to
then.
test a sample of your DNA?
Sure. Thanks.
Please take a cotton swab from the drawer, gently rub it on the inside of your cheek, then place it in the slide. Your DNA will be processed exclusively here. Thank you. Our country appreciates the opportunity to right the wrongs of a dark past so that we may all share a bright future.
My day.
So,
You take a rain check.
hey, isn't that Bobby from Supernatural?
What's going on in here?
No, at least he didn't go out there and beat the shit out of
I
him.
didn't arrest him because he didn't do it.
But He says he did.
He also says
He's
that Dr. Manhattan
105.
can pretend to be human.
Are we safe, Angela?
I would tell you if we weren't.
If he sees her express those emotions, then he will do the same thing. I understand her wanting him to be tough, but I don't know if it's healthy or not.
Has determined the following content to be
Washed up in Boston Harbor. That's the last photo that will ever be taken of me. Rolf Muller, circus strongman. Except that's not me.
Actually, War of the Worlds podcast, Osman Island into panic. Alien invasion, just folks, we all about it.
Oh, we're going far back now.
Open that safe now.
We don't have a safe.
Ah.
Grab one of the dames. Down your feet.
Ouch. This guy was actually in the movies, right? So this is... Damn, he goes hard.
Who are you?
Who am I? When I was little, every time I looked in the mirror, I saw a stranger staring back at me. If he couldn't release his rage, maybe I could help him hide it. I never felt comfortable in my own skin, so I made a new one. And when I slipped it on, he and I became one.
Bro, that was sweet. I'm wondering now if that was the same old man, but before. Because he said, "Who am I?" Right, and that's the same thing that
so sorry.
the old guy asked Angela.
Judd was a great man.
Who are you? And what she? So was he the hooded justice?
The resources y'all need to get the animals who did this. They're yours.
Honey, are you okay?
Oh,
Jesus! I'm so sorry. I came over here to take care of you. He loved you. He really did. You get those fuckers who did this to him.
God damn, she's good. I believe that. So he was one of them. Wow. Wow. Did not see that coming. The watchmaker's son, as he called it. Well, now that I think about it,
Eureka! There
Dr.
it is.
Manhattan was a watchmaker's son, right? Yeah, he's redoing Dr. Manhattan's
I appear to be
transformation.
locked in. Damn!
Oh, what the hell? Did he really kill him?
Tears, Coachman. Let's see those damn tears.
Wow.
I am both John
Adrian, you bastard.
and not John. I am the past, the present, and the future all at once. Bound. I am Dr. Manhattan.
Fantastic.
the end of the show when you have a dead
Bravo.
body. So Adrian, I can believe that.
It's all your magnificent words, Master.
Poppycock. Thus. All of us working together.
Okay, so they're clones then.
Job well done.
Total disregard for human
No,
life.
no, wait.
Very Adrian. Watch. Stopped?
Has it stopped, Master?
No, Miss Crookshanks. It's only just begun.
How did he get unlocked?
Where'd you get it?
What's this?
Did you put it there? Are you trying to set him up? Because that was really fucking easy to find.
What floor is it on? You know, I can't go upstairs.
Yet you hung a man from a tree.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
You trying to make me think that he's one of them? The cavalry?
Why would they then kill him?
Hello.
I'm getting tired of his BS too.
Congratulations. You are eligible to be a beneficiary of the Victims of Racial Violence Act. You should also know
So
that we
now she
have
knows he was either there or a descendant. Well, given his age, he was there.
descendants in your family tree. Will Angela Abar,
Oh, goddamn.
granddaughter.
He's a grandfather. Why are you here? What do you want?
And show you where you came from.
I don't know. No one's gonna believe that a 105-year-old man hung the chief, though. So seems kind of pointless. Oh. The hell? What's that? Okay then. He obviously doesn't seem surprised, but it's a letter from his dad. My thoughts exactly. Alright, so I'm with Angela on this. I'm like, what is happening? What's happening? Alright, so from what they've given us so far, I think it's safe to assume that this old man is the hooded justice that we saw in the flashback, right? And he's the same boy from the Tulsa massacre that his dad, you know, put in the truck and gave the letter saying, take care of this, watch out for this boy, watch over this boy. So he grew up to be the hooded justice, and now he's here, decades later as an old man, trying to screw with people. I have no idea what his motivations are. Neither does she. Mono, she said that her parents told her nothing of him, and I imagine it may be because they knew that he was a hooded justice and what he was doing, and maybe they didn't agree with it, or who knows, maybe he took things a bit too far, whatever the case might be. But they obviously didn't want her to know about him, although she inadvertently kind of became, you know, a hero in it anyway, or a vigilante anyway. But what's his connection with with the chief and the 7th Cavalry? The chief is dead, and Angela is now found, in his closet, KKK costume. So, I don't know. Was the chief a part of the 7th Cavalry, or was he a part of the KKK and not this new faction that seems to be around? I don't know. So I feel like we're missing something, right? I mean, why would he? First off, he seemed genuinely care. He seemed to genuinely care for Angela. Could have just been all an act. Who knows? I mean, that scene in the bedroom where she went to see his wife, I genuinely bought that she was sick and she fainted and she was tormented by his death, and then she just got up and, yeah. So I could be I could be wrong, so wrong. But he did seem to generally care for her. On the face of it, it could have been a play, but that seemed to be the case. Um, his wife seemed to be caring, but then hey, a lot of people are, and a lot of those people who are in fact racist, you don't necessarily know that they are. You know, they put on this facade, and you know, uh, it takes for a lot of them, it takes it takes someone to give them permission to actually almost as if they need permission to do it, and we see that a lot with how easily people can be influenced by those who are in power, right? And normally, typically, you see certain events occur more frequently. The more the persons who are at the very top reflects, their decisions and what they do and say kind of reflects on the rest of the population to some extent. But it can also be the reverse as well, that the people elect those persons in the first place. So I mean, who knows? Either the chief was some kind of mole that was sent there to pretend and but if that's the case, why would the 7th Cavalry kill him? If the 7th Cavalry killed him, does that mean that they are the good guys here, right? And everyone that they have removed so far are actually, the actual threats, the actual 7th Cavalry, the actual, KKK racists. I mean, I said this at the beginning that, I mean, Rorschach, in nothing that he has said, he's a very black and white guy. And he had a code that he lived by, and he didn't come across as racist in his actions or to any extent. So while I was here thinking that, okay, maybe these guys took Rorschach's journal and they pulled parts from it that they wanted to interpret it to fit their narrative, but it could very well be that they are fighting Rorschach's fight, in that, those that are in charge of the police, and as the old man said, there's some conspiracy going on that if you told her what it was, it would blow her mind. So it could very well be that the 7th Cavalry are actually the good guys, and I mean, there's some other group in the background at play that that she's just not seeing and we're not seeing. So that's one of my theories. I could be dead wrong, but it's interesting that she ended up being the grandfather of the Hooded Justice, if I'm correct, and she's definitely following in his footsteps. That moment with her son, right? I don't know, Bobby from Supernatural. That's how I've always known him, so that's what I always call him. But I mean, is he their dad, or she adopted them and he just won't go away, or something to that effect? I'm not sure, but she's willing to accept a check to not see his kids, so it would suggest he's not interested in seeing them anyway. He's just looking for money. And I mean, her husband, to his credit, not wanting to go out there and beat the shit out of him and be the angry black man that so many people are like, yeah, that's what you are. He doesn't want to fit into the stereotype, but I would go out there and beat the shit out of him. As for the son, though, I mean, he's handling it. They seem to be giving him, I don't know. She says that he's been through a lot. That means that he sees things a bit differently than her other kids. He sees them the way she does, but in my mind, he's still a kid, right? And I don't know. For me, I just don't think it's good to just expose him to everything like that. I mean, they were watching this program, and the literal announcement was warning you, this is not for kids. All right. And at the same time, she was sitting there watching it with his dad, who didn't have a care in the world as to what he was watching. I mean, there is an argument to be made about keeping your kids informed about what's happening around them, right? Especially as if you're a black young kid, or you're a family with a black young kid. There are certain things that you have to make them aware of, because that's the reality, and perhaps that was the message here. That's the reality that many people have to live with. And even though they're kids and we like to shelter them and shield them out from certain things, they will face it when they go out there. So it's better to prepare them than not, right? It's a tough world. For Ozymandias and Adrian, though, I can't help but wonder if what he's, I don't know, somehow in his twisted mind, he's trying to figure out some way to kind of recreate Dr. Manhattan by playing this over and over in his head. He's good. I don't know. He's a smart guy. He's always been a smart guy. If there was a way for him to recreate it, I'm sure he would have done it already. But so far with Adrian's character, you don't know what the hell is going on with these clones that he keeps creating and so, you know, dismissing their lives so easily because he can just create another. I don't know. This episode, of course, it's just crazy. It's insane. It's insane, and I'm glad that they chose to go that route. You know, even with the movie to some extent, and one reason why they didn't do the ending the way they did is because they thought it would be too outrageous, too far out for people to kind of wrap their heads around, and that might have been the right decision at that time, right? But now, hey, you have moth journalists flying all around and squid-like creatures raining out of the sky. So, hey, it's what it is. It's fun. It's funny. I don't know. I don't want to believe that the chief was a part of the KKK, but could it be that the old man was setting him up in some way? Maybe, maybe not. That was some episode. Alright guys, be sure to post down below, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one.